Okay, besties, road trip time. Today we're heading to Daytona Beach, and I cannot believe this is our first time actually experiencing it. We've lived in Orlando, and it's literally about an hour away, and somehow we've never done a full Daytona adventure. So today we're changing that. What's crazy is that millions of people visit Daytona every single year, but I feel like everyone only talks about one thing, the beach. And yes, the beach is iconic. It's got 23 miles of coastline. It's known as the world's most famous beach, and it's one of the few places where you can actually drive on the sand in certain areas. But here's what I'm really curious about. What else is there? Because if you're planning a Florida vacation, especially with little ones, you want more than just somewhere to lay a towel. You want places to explore, things to learn, good food, beautiful views, and those little hidden gems that end up becoming your favorite memories. So that's exactly what we're doing today. We're exploring Daytona from the perspective of first-time visitors, and by the end of the video, we're gonna find out if this deserves a spot on your family's Florida bucket list. I've got a full itinerary planned. We're gonna take you to some of Daytona's most popular attractions, a few places I think are completely underrated, and honestly, I have no idea what we're about to discover. So buckle up, come spend the day with us, and let's go see what Daytona is really about. Okay, first up, and I'm already excited. We're at the Marine Science Center. I had no idea this place even existed until we started planning the trip. But the more I look into it, the more I was like, wait a minute, why is nobody talking about this? They actually rescue injured sea turtles and seabirds from right here along Florida's coast, help nurse back them into health. And when they're ready, they get released back into the ocean. Like, how cool is that? And that's what I love about places like this. You get to have fun, but you also leave learning something, especially if you've got little ones that are always asking a million questions. This is one of those places where they're going to be completely fascinated. I don't know what we're about to see in here, but I'm hoping we get to see some sea turtles up close, learn a few things, and maybe find one of Daytona's best hidden gems. All right, enough talking. Let's go see what all the hype is about. They have these huge photo ops right when you walk in, so obviously we had to stop for pictures first, but the timing couldn't have been more perfect because we walked in right as one of the Raptors live presentations was starting, and there was already a whole crowd gathered around. They bring out one of their resident birds of prey and share its story, along with how the center helps rehabilitate injured birds and protects local wildlife. It was honestly so interesting. Then we wandered through all the aquariums, and if you got kids who ask a million questions, this is their moment. Mine literally asked, if I pet the fish enough, will it remember me? Thankfully, there's always someone nearby who actually knows the answers. The touch pool was definitely a favorite. You can gently touch and even help feed cownose rays, stingrays, and other incredible marine animals during their daily feedings. And my favorite part was the sea turtle hospital. You get to see sea turtles that are currently being treated for injuries or illnesses before they're released back into the wild. Watching the team care for these animals makes you realize this isn't just an aquarium. It's a rescue and rehabilitation center that's making a real difference for Florida's wildlife. What I loved most was how naturally curiosity just takes over here. You start by thinking you're going to look at a few fish, and before you know it, you're learning why stingrays have mouths underneath their bodies, how sea turtles know where to return to nest years later, why touching wildlife in the ocean can actually do more harm than good, and how every single person can help protect Florida's coastline in small ways. The educators don't just recite facts, they tell stories that make everything stick, and they somehow have an answer for every random question imaginable. Violet wanted to know if turtles recognize the people taking care of them. Vianne was convinced one of the stingrays was smiling at her, and somehow every question turned into another fun fact. By the time we left, my kids were pointing out things they wanted to look up later, and I was already thinking about bringing them back. It's the kind of place that reminds you learning doesn't always happen inside four classroom walls. Sometimes it happens standing next to a rescued sea turtle with salty air, curious kids, and a volunteer who's just as excited to teach as your kids are to ask the next question. So if you are in Ponce Inlet, please make sure you add marine centers to your itinerary because the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse is right next to each other, and together they make such a fun family day. All right, next up, and this one has been on my list. We're at the Ponce Inlet Lighthouse, and y'all, this thing is huge. It's actually the tallest lighthouse in Florida and one of the tallest historic lighthouses you can climb in the entire country. And yes, we're climbing all 203 steps. Ah! I already know, halfway up, I'm going to be questioning every life decision I've ever made. But I've heard the view at the top is absolutely worth it. What I love about stops like this is you're not just looking at something pretty. You get to step into a piece of Florida history. The lighthouse has been standing here since 1800s, guiding ships along the coast for over a century. And somehow it's still in incredible shape. If you're planning a Daytona trip, especially with kids who love to explore, I feel like this is one of those places that makes the day feel like an adventure instead of just another sightseeing stop. All right, let's see if these 203 steps are really worth the view because I'm ready to find out. Are you ready, Violet? Yeah! If you're coming during the summer, bring some water because once you start climbing up, there's no air conditioning inside the tower. It's definitely gets warmer the higher you go. We honestly had to take our time because I don't know why I thought this was going to be a quick little climb. The staircase is pretty steep and there are 203 steps all the way to the top. Every time I thought we were almost there, there were more stairs. But here's a cool fact. This lighthouse has been guiding ships since 1887, and at 175 feet tall, it's the tallest lighthouse in Florida and one of the tallest brick lighthouses in the entire country. And let me tell you, every single step was worth it. This is me before going up the lighthouse.
This is me before going to the up the lighthouse. This is me before going up the lighthouse.
Once you get to the top, the views are absolutely incredible. You see the Atlantic Ocean stretching for miles, the Halifax River, Ponce Inlet, and even Daytona Beach in the distance.
This is me on top of the lighthouse.
This is me at the top of the lighthouse.
Mommy, that is me at the top of the lighthouse.
The ocean breeze up there, woo! That was exactly what we needed after that climb. If you're not a fan of heights, I'm gonna be honest, you might be holding onto that railing like I was. But if you can make it to the top, this is one of those views you won't forget. It was easily one of our favorite stops of the day. But don't rush up just yet because the experience doesn't end at the lighthouse. The museum grounds are actually really cool to explore. You can walk through the original lighthouse keepers' homes and see what life was actually like back in the late 1800s when families lived here and kept the lighthouse running. They also have one of the world's largest collections of Fresnel lenses, those giant glass lenses that made lighthouse beams powerful enough to guide ships safely along the coast. Okay, we made it to the top. I'm not even gonna lie, I was holding on for my dear life the entire time. If you're scared of heights, baby, this might not be your ministry because once you get up there, you are up there. But let me tell you something. The second you make it to the top, you completely forget about the climb. The views are absolutely insane. You can see for miles. The ocean, the coastline, the river, that breeze up there. Chef's kiss. It was so nice after climbing all 203 steps. Honestly, it makes you stop for a second and just take it all in. Pictures don't even do it justice. So if you're up for a little adventure and don't mind getting your steps in, I definitely think this is one of those Daytona experiences that's worth checking off your bucket list. And after you've officially hit your step goal and sweated a whole lot, there's the cutest little ice cream shop right across the street. We grabbed something cold to cool off, and they have plenty of drinks and water too if you need to rehydrate. Then literally across from that is a playground that's perfect if you're visiting with kids. There are tons of shady trees, plenty of benches for parents to sit and relax, and a nice playground where the kids can burn off whatever energy they somehow still have left. Honestly, it's the perfect way to cool down after conquering all 203 steps. All right, after climbing 203 steps, I think we've officially earned some lunch. So we are heading over to PopStroke, and I feel like this is the perfect midday stop because it's one of those places where everybody wins. The adults get to sit down, pull up, and finally grab something to eat while the kids get to burn off every ounce of energy they somehow still have. Like, where do they keep finding it? If you've never heard of PopStroke, it's so much fun. It's more than just mini golf. They've got 2 pudding courses designed by Tiger Woods, a full restaurant, ice cream, playgrounds, and plenty of space to hang out. So whether you got little ones, teenagers, or you're just a little competitive like me, there's something for everybody. And honestly, I love when you find places where the activity and the food are all in one spot because it makes the vacation so much easier. Now let's see if my pudding skills are giving professional or if I'm about to embarrass myself in front of everybody. The first thing you do is pick out your golf ball, and I was way more invested in the color than I should have been because that's how you keep track of whose ball is whose. Then you grab your putter, and I love that they have clubs for everyone, even little ones. And can we give a round of applause for the lefties because Violet is left-handed, and they actually had left-handed clubs waiting for her too. It's such a small detail, but it made a big difference. Now, my girls, they took one look at the playground and said, y'all have fun. And if you're a parent, you already know. The second your kids find a playground, you've officially been replaced. Since the FIFA World Cup was still on, Daddy and I did what any responsible parents would do. We grabbed a couple of drinks, found a seat with perfect view of the TVs, and watched the match while the girls burned every ounce of energy they had before lunch arrived. I don't know who designed this place, but they definitely understood parents. Once our food came out, it was game time. PopStroke in Daytona Beach has 2 beautiful 18-hole courses, so you've got 36 holes to play if you're feeling competitive. Or if your family takes mini golf way too seriously like mine, the courses are honestly so pretty with rolling greens, little bridges, water features, and landscaping that almost makes you forget you're playing mini golf until someone accidentally launches their ball into the bushes. What I also appreciated was that they really thought about Florida weather. There are benches all throughout the course if you need a little break, and there are misting fans everywhere, so you're not out here melting into the pavement. We were there in the middle of summer, and it honestly made a huge difference. And if you're getting hungry, or let's be honest, someone in your group always wants a snack halfway through, they've got you covered. There's a full service restaurant, and they'll even bring your food and drinks right out to you while you're on the course, so you don't have to stop playing. Then, because apparently they wanted to make leaving even harder, they have an ice cream parlor too, which basically means your kids suddenly find the energy to play another 18 holes after they hear the words "want ice cream." Mine somehow forgot they were tired immediately. Between the playground, the food, the golf, the sports on TV, and the ice cream, this ended up being one of those places where we looked at the time and realized we'd been there way longer than we planned, and honestly, none of us were ready to leave. Okay, now it's time for a very important stop. If you know, you know. We are at Buc-ee's. Yeah, we used to live in Texas, and Buc-ee's was literally our road trip tradition. No road trip was official until we stopped at Buc-ee's. We'd grab snacks, drink, fudge, and somehow walk out with the things we absolutely did not need. So when I found out they have one right here in Daytona, baby, it immediately went on today's itinerary. I don't care how old I get, walking into Buc-ee's is an experience. It's not just a gas station. It's like a little road trip amusement park. You go in for a bottle of water and somehow leave with a barbecue sandwich. All right, let's go see if I can spot the biggest bag of beaver nuggets in the store. And because of my self-control, I already know my head's hanging on by a thread. Let's go! And if you've never been to one before, just know this is so much more than a gas station. It's basically a road trip destination all by itself. You hit rows and rows of fresh bakery treats, homemade fudge, warm roasted nuts, fresh brisket sandwiches being sliced right in front of you, barbecue wraps, tacos, and enough snacks to keep you busy for an hour. Then you turn the corner and somehow it gets even bigger. They've got walls of beef jerky in just about every flavor you can think of. Popcorn, chips, candy, trail mixes, dips, salsas, hot sauces, jams, local seasonings, and every drink your kids will suddenly have to try. And don't even get me started on the shopping. There's Buc-ee's t-shirts, pajamas, swimsuits, hats, mugs, tumblers, blankets, toys, home decor, beach gear, coolers. Basically, if they can put a beaver on it, they did. I swear we walk in saying we're only grabbing snacks and somehow we leave with things we didn't even know we needed. Whether you're starting your road trip or heading home like we were, Buc-ee's is just one of those stops that makes the drive part of the adventure. And honestly, I don't think we've ever left empty-handed. And just like that, we made it to our last stop of the day, the beach. And honestly, I can't think of a better way to end the day in Daytona after spending the day of exploring, learning. There's plenty of room to spread out, build sand castles, splash in the waves, and just take your shoes off and enjoy them. And just like that, we wrapped up Daytona Adventure with the best final stop possible, the beach. I don't know what it is about ending the day by the ocean, but it just feels like the perfect reset. The girls were chasing waves, we catch the sunset, We also collected some shells like they had discovered buried treasure and somehow still had enough energy to keep running after everything we'd done that day. Meanwhile, I was perfectly happy just standing there listening to the waves, feeling the breeze, and soaking in one of those moments you wish you could bottle up and take home with you. What I loved about this trip is that it never felt like we had to choose between fun for the kids and fun for us. We climbed one of Florida's most iconic lighthouses, learned so much at the Marine Science Center, took a break with great food and mini golf at PopStroke, made our Buc-ee's snack run, and finished it all with our toes in the sand. It honestly made for such an easy family day trip, and I feel like we barely scratched the surface of everything Daytona has to offer. If you've been thinking about visiting but weren't sure if there was enough to do, let this be your sign, because there's something here for every kind of family. Whether you have toddlers, older kids, or you're just looking for a fun weekend getaway, I can definitely see us coming back to explore even more. If you enjoyed coming along with us, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next family adventure. Give this video a like if it helped you plan your next trip, and leave me a comment letting me know what city you want our family to explore next. You never know, your suggestion might just be where we head next. Until then, we'll see you in the next adventure.